So this one is we'll walk through this. So these are two houses are adjacent. They're 50 feet apart. House 1 has wooden walls, a wooden shake roof. This is house 1 right here. And it's surrounded on all 3 sides by brush. That's kind of the example that I just gave. So we have house number 2, where the residents knows where they live. They've understood the fire smart principles. They've cleared that priority zone number 1. And the neighbor across who hasn't. So house 2 has a better clearance and a composite shingle roof. So these are a couple of case studies, and you know, we're going to go through, and there's no real absolutes. So we're gonna discuss them, and Chief Watson, jump in whenever you want. But case study 1, the fire is burning only the leaf litter. So typically burning only the leaf litter. What rank of a fire are we looking at? Yeah, like a rank 1, right? So it's moving progressively past the 2 houses. You have a 500-gallon tank of water, and you're the only engine available. What do you do? So from our perspective, if you have 500 gallons of water, how much of that water is for you? We always say a quarter of that, right? So we're 125 gallons, so we have 375 gallons of water for us. If we've racked our hose quickly and we feel we have a safe spot that we can anchor in on that road, we've got a good escape route either way to a safety zone, and we're pointed in the correct direction. If we leave that without actioning it, a rank 1, maybe 2 fire, what's going to be the result of that? Is it going to have the ability to climb up into ladder fuels and get up into that crown? That's the thing that we need to assess. So I'm comfortable at this point stretching a line in there and going and doing an offensive fire attack on the fire line. The easiest way to save this structure is to put the fire out. So along that fire line, we're able to go up and knock that down. I'm a single engine resource right now, and maybe this is where I've been assigned. I might not have the horsepower to dig the guard around this entire thing, but at least I've been able to knock that fire down and take the threat away from this structure prior to it getting here and allowing it to build a head of steam, right? So I'm confident in doing that with 500 gallons of water. Case study 2, the fire is burning the brush and it's hitting broadside. It's threatening both houses at the same time. You have 250 gallons of water, so same apparatus, but obviously we've used 250. And you're the only engine available. House 1 will receive direct flame impingement. House 2 will receive only firebrands. What would you do? So again, in this situation, we're triaging these 2 houses. Which one out of 1 and 2 do we think that we're going to have a better chance of saving? House 2, right? So because we've gone down to 250 gallons in our tank, do we now save a quarter of that? Or are we still at 125 gallons because we started with 500? We don't reduce that safety margin of our own water for protection. So now we are way lower. We have 125 gallons of water. So if I spin my apparatus around and I have a heads-up play on my situational awareness and I know I have a clear escape route, you know, I've got a paved road here with line dividers. So this is a pretty well-built road. If I spin my apparatus around by backing in here, point this way, what do you think I can do to that structure quickly with the little bit of water that I have that I'm comfortable using before I leave?
Would you put foam?
Yeah.
On top, so just foam it out?
Yep, so if you're foam capable and you have the ability of making it drier, and you can put that up on there, ensuring that you don't go past your safe protection volume of 125 in this apparatus, then you could foam that roof, which is going to help for ember cast, that it's going to put them out before. So when you return, the chances of it having a good foothold in that roof space will be less by you using the foam. So, and if you don't have foam and you threw water on there, it's probably going to roll down into the eaves. So if there is a ton of litter inside those eaves, again, the ember cast is you're gonna put a little bit more RH into there and maybe buy you a little bit of time to return.
And just if I can add there, for house number 2, it's not just about the water on the fire. You know, you could also have a couple guys make sure the windows are closed, doors are closed, casting stuff off the porch out into the defendable space, any flammables, just hardening that house.
And what's the number one thing we would do at this house? Knock on the door and see if anyone's home. And if they're already gone, that's great. Exactly. Start trying to shut down LPG if it's safe to do so, because the advancing fire is coming slow enough that we have a safety margin, right? So if there's LPG tanks on the deck, if there's a jackpot of, you could take the lawn furniture that's in the shade back here on the cedar deck and just pull it to the front here. The other thing we like to advocate is if we're available, or if it is available on that structure, is you're going to grab their hose off of their hose bib and stretch it down that driveway. So when we do return, after the fire front has passed through, there's an immediate resource. If you got to get your truck and pump and whatnot, there's a hose line that you can grab right away.
Are we hypothetically saying that this is more of something that's not rule, that, people have wells, and if the power's gone out, then you have no resource to their water?
Absolutely. Yeah, so you could stretch a line out onto their driveway and still have no water because they've lost power, you've lost critical infrastructure. Chances are we won't know that till we come back and go to use that hose. Chief Watson, he saved a house in Wilson's Landing on an automatic aid using the hose bib on the side of the house. Cedar roof, cedar hedges on the side of the house, and Embercast got in there and he put it out with the hose. So, and that was before the power got shut off. So yeah, very important that we try to prioritize these houses. We try to look at them and say, which is, if we add our resource and our time and our effort, what is going to give us our most success? Case 3, as in 2, the fire's burning, the brush is threatening both houses at the same time. This time you have a full tank of water, so you're a full 500 GPM or gallons in your tank. You can protect house 1 as the fire hits it, and in the process significantly diminish the intensity at the head of the fire. Second engine will be there in 5 minutes. What do you do? So again, we drive up, we see this apparatus is 5 minutes away. We anticipate they're going to get there, but we've already talked about incident within incidents. We're driving in smoke, driving in all of that stuff. Maybe that apparatus doesn't get there, so we're not going to blow below our safety margin of 125 gallons. So we have 500 gallons to work with here. Again, we're going to knock on this door, and we're going to knock on this door, and we're going to make sure that our life safety is out of there. That's our #1 critical fire ground factor right here. We can always rebuild the structures, but we can't replace the lives that are in them. So let's make sure that we knock on those doors and do that, and make sure that we have the life safety aspect out of there. Then the only thing that we have left over as a life safety threat is what we add to this incident. And we can easily drive away based on the fact that we've identified our safety zones and our escape routes. So because you can protect house #1, which is this one, as the fire hits, and in the process will significantly diminish the intensity of the head of the fire. Is that something we're comfortable doing? Yeah. If we can significantly diminish the intensity of the head of that fire, then that is probably a go play for us. Because in doing so, chances are we're going to be able to save this one and at least have that second apparatus come up and support us, right? So now, if we're a couple hundred gallons into this and we're not getting the result that we believe we should be, that's when we're going to cut and go. So as a single engine resource, if you're assigned to take care of this area, you get in there, this is what you find, you make that first quick hit, you don't get the response you expect, and you're going to bug out. What are you doing? You're going to contact your strike team or your task force leader, right, and let them know, hey, you know what, we've had to leave to our safety zones, we're anticipating a fire front following, we're going to head back in afterwards, but we're going to let the head of this fire pass. So making that appropriate action to get yourselves out of the way, so it gives you that opportunity to return back in. Anything to add to that?
No, good.
So when we look at a house like this, what triage category do we think that we're in? Yeah. Prep and leave. Any other ideas? Rescue drive-by, yeah. So what I think we need to know is that we can't put everything into an absolute. So how long until the fire is going to get here? If the fire is immediately knocking on the door and our safety margin is diminishing, this is a rescue drive-by. If it's anticipated that the fire is going to be here tomorrow at 10 o'clock, now we have the opportunity to do some work. And if there's only a few resources available, but there's only a few structures that need the work, then that's the work, the good work we're going to put in during the day so that we can ensure that those structures have their best chance at surviving, you know, a frontal impact from the fire. So when we get into triage categories, absolutes are based on, they're difficult to have because there are so many variables, and we want to make sure we do what's best for that resident. This could be everything that they have in the world right here. So we want to do our very best to help protect that. Michelle.
Triage, does this happen like first before the SPUs come in? Or are they like simultaneously happening?
It all depends on the incident itself. So if there is enough lead time, like, you know, we have a fire that's 2 days out of getting into Clinton, there's probably going to be a sprinkler protection crew that's going to go in. They're going to triage these residents where they anticipate it to actually land in the community, put up protection if they can, do the triage, set up all the ribbons and everything like that. As a strike team and a task force leader, ours is more of an initial attack. So you're kind of going fast and trying to triage quickly as that's pushing down. We don't have any protection in place, right? We're just responding at an initial attack stage versus extended attack where we're going to have a better understanding of the structures themselves. Any other questions on that? Comments on it? Always. Kim, to you.
Yeah, I do. So you make a great point. When you got fire on the landscape and it's bearing down on your structures and you're trying to, you know, figure out, I'm triaging stuff and I'm doing it. I mean, Chad's bang on. There's so many variables that play into the whole triage side of things that, you know, some things when you're under pressure like that are just going to get put off the table. You're just going to go, nah, I'm not even worrying about that one. So what I'd like to suggest is that now is the time to do structured triage.
Right.
So in communities, and I've got a couple of communities within my zone that are going through each one of these structures in their communities. I mean, they're small communities. And they're actually doing that now, this time of year, when there's no fire in the landscape. So it's all identified, and they can make suggestions to people about what they should be doing in order to try and mitigate the chance that they're going to lose their structure in a wildfire scenario. So when fire's on the landscape, yeah, it's tough. You're going to have to make some pretty hard decisions. The other point I will make, and it's very, very critical from a litigator's point of view, what you do, you document. Why you did it, when you did it, and who did it. Because people, Chad's right, that could be everything they own. And if all of a sudden that satellite dish or something is broken, well, you guys broke it. And now I need a new satellite. Whatever the case might be. So just make sure that your documentation is right to the point of what it is you did and why you did it and who was involved with making that decision. And then we, you know, we're just doing our best, right? But yeah, my suggestion is do it when there's not fire in the landscape. You just make it so much easier for people to understand what it is you're asking them to do.
For sure. And to that point, I'll get to you in a second. To that point is it's really easy the year after a big fire comes through your community to everyone buys into the Fire Smart campaign, but we haven't had fire on the ground in West Kelowna for about 4 years, and they're like, come on, it's not going to happen here. And then as soon as we do, the next year they're banging on our door. We got grant money. We want to give you. So it's if you can get those campaigns out now and have people buying in and be out in your community, incredible time to do that because you'll deal with less of this because they're getting the message. Lou.